back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. This is episode 53. This will be our second draft episode, but this is a little more fun. We'll be doing a live draft. So we have four panelists or guests today. Myself, Dakota, Tim, usual suspect. We'll welcome Nick back again. He's pretty much a co-host at this point, amount of episodes he's been in. And then our new guest, Bobby. And Bobby, we would like to say congratulations on getting engaged.
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Dakota's
only one.
I'm now the minority in here. We have two engaged fellas, and Nick is married with a 2-year-old, and I'm just chilling. So I'm happy for you, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Alrighty. The only jersey I had of a team that I was picking for was this Ed Reed, really old jersey.
Nice.
It's I think it's a 2XL. I had it in middle school. It still fits. So
that was your chubby days when you were playing offensive line.
Oh yeah.
Look at Dakota lying like that's a 2XL. We know it's a schmedium.
No,
that's what I mean. It's like, what is a kid 2XL?
Why did you ever buy a 2XL? Is what I want to know.
Because it was for some reason half the price of a regular size, and I was like, sure.
You know what? That sounds like a Dakota move on the spot. 2XL doesn't sound like Dakota.
No.
Being cheap and paying half price for something that's never going to fit them, that sounds like Dakota.
100% being cheap, yes.
Dakota, I'm 6 foot 240, and I've never bought something double XL.
Oh, well. You live and you learn. With that being said, Bobby, you will be the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so what we'll be doing, we'll be having each of us has 8 picks. So we do we'll go 4 in a row, and then we keep rotating. So, for example, Bobby has the Jaguars at 1, Tim has the Jets at 2, I have the 49ers at 3, and then Nick has the Falcons at 4, and then we will keep progressing. We will be allowing trades in this as well, so it'll be a fun little experiment to see who ends up where. And with that being said, Bobby, you are the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars with the number 1 pick, and you are now on the clock.
I'm going to screw this up and get Mac Jones. No, I'm just kidding. There's really only one pick here, and you got to go with Trevor Lawrence, obviously. I mean, probably the best QB prospect since Andrew Luck, I think, in 2012.
Listen, some franchises choose, wins, even in a meaningless season, over draft position. Others choose the draft position.
It's true. All right. And with the second pick, Tim, you are now on the clock. The Jets.
All right, so I'm going to go and bring some life and excitement to the Jets, just an abysmal black hole of despair.
Mm-hmm.
So this one I flip-flopped a lot. I think we all expect Zach Wilson to go to the Jets. I think the Jets like him, but in true Jets fashion, I'm sure it's going to blow up in their face. So I had to zig a little bit. I'm going with Justin Fields.
Wow.
Guys.
Wow.
Listen, you know what? I wanted to say Wilson, but I looked more into it and I was like, I'm fighting myself here. Why would I be trying to go against Fields when I really don't want to? I'm just looking for reasons to not like him. Yeah. The guy's a stud. He's so athletic. He's a physical freak, and yet he's more of a passer than he is runner. You know, he's got the ability to run. He can if he wants to, and probably be really good at it. But he's just an incredible passer. Huge media market. You know, I like the guy that's been. Yeah, you talk about. He was the number 1 high school recruit his year. That being better than Trevor Lawrence. So he's been in the spotlight for a while. I think he handled the media really well. I think he comes in, wins games, and I think, he slowly turns around one of the train wrecks of a New York franchise and leaves the Knicks as the only representative.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
I had to see this is my big. I had to put all my energy into defending this one because I knew this would be controversial.
Yeah, I honestly, Tim, and I don't think you need to defend it. I think it's just the media is so interesting how much they change draft boards, because Justin Fields was number 2 the entire football season.
Oh yeah.
He plays fantastic against, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't feel strongly about that till he played Clemson, took that monster hit. You see him on the sideline, looks like he's got broken ribs playing, and he just balled out on a defense that has a lot of future NFL stars, and the media sort of pushed him down. And I told Dakota a couple months ago, don't be surprised if Mac Jones is not the 5th quarterback taken, when everyone's saying, oh, he's going to go 15 to the Pats. I go, he won't last, just watch. And sure enough, the media pumped Mac Jones up. and Justin Fields started to fall for whatever reason. But personally, I think it's a great pick. He's the second quarterback I would take.
Dude, he's big time. Look at that game. It's 22-28 with 6 touchdowns against Clemson, like the dynasty that they are. It really wasn't that close.
No.
Do you think his epilepsy condition affects anything or not really?
Say again?
His epilepsy condition? I saw a report a few days ago saying his epilepsy.
Oh,
from the media. Yeah.
That's
You know what?
that's manageable though. Like with medication, that's very manageable.
Yeah, I know.
I find it more impressive. He's got epilepsy and he's out there dominating. Just take it as a win.
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, don't even worry about you taking it. I mean, you saw the hit in a semifinal game, but if you take a hit to the head and something happens.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson's got a shoulder problem.
Yeah,
I do worry about that for my quarterbacks.
I know I do. I'm saying I'm more worried about head injuries than I am shoulder injuries.
True.
Especially in this time.
All right. Well, Tim really shook up my decision here at number 3. So I'm now the 49ers on the clock. And I'll be honest, I made a top 3. Obviously, I put Trevor Lawrence at 1 if for some reason Bobby and Tim passed on him. And personally, I would have taken Fields because I agree with what Tim was saying that, he just pans out to be the better prospect. And I think he has the intangibles to be a successful NFL QB. But when I was looking at how, the 49ers kind of run their offense with Shanahan, and Shanahan had a lot of success with Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan kind of reminds me a little bit of Mac Jones reminds me a little bit of Matt Ryan. But I mean, now that Zach Wilson's there, I would definitely have to change. So the number 3, the San Francisco 49ers, we will be taking Zach Wilson. So Mac Jones and what's the other card? Trey Lance, you're still available.
Just know, Dakota, you got my sloppy seconds. I didn't want him. You can just have it. Oh, don't think that you're getting the better prospect. Just know that you got the one I didn't want.
All right. Well, so that's 3 QBs off the board in a row.
You think he starts right away, or Jimmy G gets to start? You think? I guess it depends on his health.
Yeah, I would say it depends. I think Jimmy G, it could probably be like a Ryan Fitzpatrick situation where he might play decent, but then eventually they'll flip him and start the rookie instead. But
do you think Jimmy G's on the roster? I can't imagine a way where they don't trade him.
I think after this year, they can cut him without much cap hit. I think so. He'll stay there at least this year, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's a good point. You have to look in his contract. I don't know who really would want him at that point.
I mean, I think there's potential. I can see going back to New England or something.
True.
Yeah.
Depending what they do in the draft.
All right. So moving on, we have another interesting team. Not really sure what their plans are. Number 4, the Atlanta Falcons, and Nick, you are now on the clock.
So this is a situation I went back and forth with a lot. I know a lot of people are talking about them take a quarterback, but I think when you look at the financial structure of Matt Ryan's contract, it's kind of tough to take a quarterback at 4 that you basically have to sit for 2 years because you can't afford to move on from Matt Ryan this year, and it's going to cost you a lot to move on from him next year. So I think there's a team that's more interested in moving up for a quarterback than the Falcons would be. And I think there's so many pieces they need, especially on defense, that they would be a team that would look to trade back. Obviously, the Broncos are a team that is highly speculated to move up for a quarterback. And I think Atlanta moving from 4 to 9 makes a lot of sense because they'd probably get, I would assume, the Broncos second this year, the Broncos second next year, and some late round pick swaps where, Atlanta moves from a 6th to a 5th round. But that's what I think would happen. I think Atlanta would make a move probably with Denver. I've heard a lot of Miami talk to move up for Pitts. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to a team wanting a quarterback. And Denver is the only team I can see having a reasonable move from 9 to 4 that could get made without giving up the treasure chest.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Denver pick later. I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm the only person, like the only quarterback I would trade up for would have been Fields, because obviously Lawrence is going 1, Foles is going 2
Yeah,
or
that's what I
3.
thought originally he'd be there. I was like,
that's
the
what I thought too.
Oh,
And
the
you threw a
player that I
curveball.
so intelligently chose to fix the New York Jets franchise. Oh, please, thanks. I'm
I
blushing.
think at this point, since they're all 3 gone, I think you gotta wait to see if Lance or Mac Jones is there at 9, and even then, I think it's a tough decision.
All right, so what are we doing, Atlanta? What are we doing with that number 4 pick?
If we're gonna stay here, I think that the choice here has to be Kyle Pitts. I think that Kyle Pitts is the best non-quarterback in this draft. And honestly, I think the only quarterback I even overall would say Trevor Lawrence being ahead of what he brings, to the field, size, strength, speed, what he would do to open up. Calvin Ridley had a breakout year last year. Russell Gage got some good action as a wide receiver 3. Julio at this point of his career, I mean, we don't really know, when he's going to see the field. When he's on, he's fantastic. But I think just having that young superstar tight end, just super explosive, maybe try to extend Matt Ryan's shelf life a little bit longer, but by giving him some more weapons. So I'd say Kyle Pitts if the Falcons stay at that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of mocks lately. I mean, last month, I would have given them a quarterback. But like you said, if they don't trade out of that spot, it's been almost Kyle Pitts is like the only other option. So, I mean, it's a nice tandem, like Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst. And I like this. They have Ridley and Julio already. So, I mean, if that offense is so stacked, it's just like, how do you not put up more? I mean, they put up numbers, they just can't finish games. So we'll see what the new coach does.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Matt Ryan is a quarterback that you can win with.
Absolutely.
With these high draft picks this year, you should be able to bring in talent around him to make him better, not to replace him when he can still play and win games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, with the 5th pick, the Bengals are now on the clock.
I mean, this is definitely a tough one for me. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of mocks with Chase going at 5 with the chemistry between him and Burrow in college. And they need a playmaker, but at the same time, I think you posted something on your Instagram for the podcast regarding the Bengals' new jerseys. You see that huge ACL scar going down Joe Burrow's knee.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, this is a deep tackle class. I think they could get another one or get one early second. But at the same time, I don't think you can pass up on Sewell, as he might be a generational tackle type player. At the same time, Chase is that receiver. But again, I'm more worried about the safety of my quarterback than getting a weapon. So I definitely would draft Sewell.
Yeah, I think that's the right pick, especially after, like you said, they posted that picture of his massive scar on his knee. You're like, yeah, we don't need more of those.
Then with that, you can slide Jonah Williams over to right tackle. So, I mean, either way, I don't think it's a bad choice, but I'm more worried about protecting him again.
Yeah, I think if the Bengals pass on him and take like Chase.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset.
And then if the Dolphins also for some reason pass, like people will be calling the Lions left and right if Sewell is at number 7. Like they'll get a king's ransom. But I agree with you. I think he'll go at 5 to the Bengals. Number 6 on the clock, Tim and the Miami Dolphins. What are we looking at?
All right, so this is my first of both Miami's first round picks this year. So if Miami front office was looking for a little consultant action, I can't say there's a candidate that would be better. Going with this one, this seems honestly pretty easy. Like, this guy was pretty much a top 5 draft pick for the 2021 draft before the 2020 season even started. I think the only knock you can give him is that he didn't play this year. And like, sure, he was probably scared by COVID. He was also like, I'm already a top 5 guaranteed pick. Why bother? I already set the records for the SEC and, what was it? Reception yards, touchdowns. I already won a championship. Why do I need to go back out there and play? He's an NFL body. It's like 6'1", 4.4 speed, 200 pounds. I'm going with Jamar Chase for the Dolphins. Give your boy, Tua took a lot of heat. I think a lot of it was unnecessary because he was a rookie, and I think we almost forgot about it, that he was a rookie. But they signed Fuller, draft Chase. You still have Devontae Parker. That's a nice little offense you got going there. Give the guy every chance to succeed. People want to just move on from him, and he's been the rumor of trade talks all offseason. Why not invest the guy? You drafted him last year in the top 5.
Yeah, and I like Gesicki there too. I think he's a good athletic tight end. I mean, and you know how the NFL is now. It's like if you don't come out and you're not a rock star right away, everybody wants to turn on you and go to the next shiny thing. I think he still deserves a little bit more time before you even start to consider. And personally, I think that's why you take quarterbacks in the first round, is because you have 5 years of control. That 5th-year option is huge. You don't need to figure it out in 2 years. It's not a 3-year contract. It's not a 4. You have the 4, and then you have that 5th-year option in your pocket, and you could possibly franchise tag. So realistically, you have a quarterback you can evaluate longer. I don't know why people try to move so quickly out of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you invested a terrible season to tank for Tua. You got Tua. What are you going to dump him right after 1 year? You invested in the guy. I think also that Jamar Chase was the reason they went back to 6. They obviously made the trade with the Niners, but I think immediately they checked in with the Eagles to make sure they could go back to get their guy, because they were probably falling in love with, either Pitts or Chase. But this one seems pretty easy.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, and now the Detroit Lions and myself are on the clock at number 7, and I think the way that the board has fallen, especially considering, we know 3 quarterbacks in the first 3 picks is almost a guarantee. What the Falcons do at 4 will definitely shape up what the Lions are going to be able to do. And I think now that they took Pitts and they stayed where they were, the Bengals and Dolphins picked where they were. There's still 2 very good quarterbacks available. I don't know if everyone keeps saying, oh, well, if Belichick wants a guy, he'll trade up for him. Like, I don't know if he will. They trade back a lot, but to trade up from 15 to 7 or to 9 where the Broncos are, you're going to have to give up, a decent amount, I would think. So,
they do have a lot of picks, though.
I would say as the current Lions GM, I'm open to trades as I evaluate the board. But if no one would like to trade, I will stand pat.
Are you actually trying to propose a trade, or are you just trying to stall it because you can't figure out who you want to draft for the Lions?
I have 2 players on my top 5 choices that are still there, so I have people in mind.
Okay,
well, but I'll give you 20 seconds if you'd like to trade, because I thought about trading with myself since I also have the Patriots pick, but I don't see them trading up.
I would think about it as the Broncos, but at the same time, I don't know if Lance or Mac Jones is worth it. It's 2 spots. You don't really give up too much, but at the same time, I don't think they're quarterback away yet, and they still have to build around the team. Nick's the Broncos fan, so I'm not really sure.
I think for me, Fields is the only person I would have traded for.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been seeing a couple. I saw a couple of mocks today where they said the Broncos trade with the Lions because they're afraid someone's going to jump them and take one of the quarterbacks available. But
it could be, like Nick said, Fields would be the only guy besides that I would definitely jump for.
Yeah, right. I've said I hope the Broncos don't take a quarterback this year. I want one more evaluate. They're not going to win this year anyways. The Chiefs, and they're just like such a better team than them that to try to push for that right now. You have so many other young weapons on offense. Give them one more year. If not, and if you suck, you get a high pick next year anyways, and then you draft a quarterback next year.
All right. That being said, I will stay pat.
Your stalling tactic did not work. Go ahead. Tell us who you're drafting. Tell us who you're going to save the Detroit Lions with.
So, like Bobby said, this is not surprisingly, but it's a very deep draft for tackles. Mm-hmm. And the Lions will likely, they have quite a few picks. They'll likely try and gain more picks. And they'll look for a tackle in probably the second round, because what they're going to do with the 7th pick, if they stay, is take Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
So number 7, I have the Lions drafting Jalen Waddle over Devontae Smith. I find that that's been the consensus lately, even though Smith obviously won the Heisman and put up gaudy numbers. A lot of people have been saying that Waddle is just as good and, a little more of an athletic speedster than Smith. And, the Lions, you just lost Galladay to the Giants, who signed that big contract, and you need to give Jared Goff all the weapons that you can. So I think it's a good pick. I think Waddle could go anywhere between 7 and by the time the Eagles pick at 12, I'd be surprised if he was still on the board after 12. But It's no arguments, it seems like. So at number 8, we have Nick on the clock with the Panthers.
So it's funny looking at this, this draft needs, because that's the exact order for the Panthers. I looked at it. 1-2 was tackle, cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
And what it came down for me was you just made a big trade. You bring in this new young quarterback into town and Sam Darnold. You already have explosive offensive weapons. You have one of the, best run catch running backs in the NFL. You got a lot of speedster, and good receivers, young talent. And I think ultimately, Sam Darnold's already hasn't taken one snap for them and in a significantly more NFL oriented offense, which is kind of ironic because he had Robbie Anderson in New York. But just overall, I think if you want to be able to give this a true evaluation, especially after already picking up his 5th-year option, you got to make sure he has some time to throw the ball. Like all those memes out there about would the Bengals take Jamar Chase or Sewell, and it's like, well, you can throw to anybody if you have a pocket, but you can't throw to Chase if you're getting hit. So I think with 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers are going to take Rashawn Slater. He's so versatile. He can play so many different positions. He started both tackles and guard in college. And I think having the ability to move him around, especially being so young, gives them the ability to find where he fits best, especially going forward as they're building the rest of this offensive line to protect Sam. But yeah, I think that makes the most sense for them right now, especially with the investment they just made at quarterback.
I think it's a good pick. I think if he somehow slides outside of the top 10, he'll be another player that teams try to call up to trade and get for him. So, I actually considered, if he did slide at all, that the Ravens might package their 2 end of the round picks, to try and move up and grab them. But going it, like, they would have to give up so much to go from 27 and 31 all the way up to the top 10. So, yeah. But that's a good pick. Bobby, you are now on the clock at number 9. Do the Broncos take a quarterback?
So I'll see how good of a GM I am with Nick's reaction to this. Obviously, Fields will be my first pick here with the Broncos if I get traded up. Then I look at their needs. I feel like a linebacker is a huge pressing need, maybe corner, but they also signed Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby, so I think they're good at corner for this year. But I feel like a playmaker to go with Chubb and Miller or Von Miller at linebacker would be the best choice. So I'd definitely go with Micah Parsons here.
I like it.
I think some character concerns, but I think that's something teams are going to look at and decide it's a non-factor as long as it plays well on the field.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, if it turned out that Micah Parsons ended up in a Bronco uniform, especially after getting Bradley Chubb a couple years back and watching him ascend as that edge rusher, outside backer, real like rusher, and Von Miller is the reason I wouldn't be concerned about the Micah Parsons thing. Now, again, yeah. I know you'll throw up the situation he has with the texting the girlfriend and all this stuff, that he has some character questions right now. Mm-hmm. However, if you leaked every text message I ever sent, I don't know that I'd be there. I think you'd probably have some character concerns about me.
Does Mar watch the podcast?
So, I think something cool that Von Miller did a couple years ago is he sent a custom wine bottle to every single player in the AFC West.
I saw that.
Every single one, every rostered player in the AFC West. He hosts an edge rush camp for anybody who wants to come in the NFL, all the defensive ends, all the outside linebackers. He's a guy who really, really is about the fraternity, about the brotherhood. And I think Micah Parsons coming in a situation where he's between him and Bradley Chubb. That could be one of the best second levels, in the NFL. So, yeah, I think I'd be happy as a Bronco fan. That would be.
Yeah, same time, I feel like Fangio loves his linebackers. I know when he was in Chicago, they got Roquan Smith. And when they were with the 49ers, they always had great linebackers like Borland, Patrick Willis. I know there's a couple others, but I just can't think of their names right now. So definitely they need strong linebacker play.
All right. I think that's a great pick. And when Tim and I did our own personal mocks, I said I thought there was a under the radar chance the Eagles might move up to maybe 9 to try and snag Micah Parsons. I've actually been hearing a couple of past few days, that if the Eagles move up, it would be for specifically Jamar Chase or Justin Fields.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I also
hopefully-
think
hopefully not.
Surtain would have been a good pick for the Broncos too, but I think with Bull and Darby there's no need at the moment.
Yeah, I
Unless you
think
wanted to
I think
develop
the
one.
only time you see teams draft corner is if they absolutely need it in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Surtain is definitely a shutdown corner as you
Yeah.
saw in college, but
Because you
I
can
don't think they
you can
need-
see across the league, you always can get value for the secondary in the later rounds. I mean, look at Jalen
Yeah.
Mills was a 7th round pick, and he was a great utility guy for the Eagles.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that's a good pick. We hope you are all enjoying the mock draft so far. I would like to take this time to thank our sponsor for this, Walk the Mock. Walk the Mock is an NFL mock draft simulator, which is the one we have been using so far this episode. Here you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team. You can draft round by round and find the best prospects for your team. You can join a live draft with other users across the states, across the world. You could do a first round, only the first 32 picks, just using one team. Or you could be the GM of the Eagles and pick for all 7 rounds. You can sign up for Walk the Mock for free, do a mock draft, but there will be some features that you'll be missing. So we do recommend you get the premium service. That will give you access to doing a personal draft board, having your own rankings, participating in some of these live drafts, and the ability to do trades and so on and so forth. Not to mention, you also get entered in a free jersey giveaway if you subscribe to their premium before the end of April. If you use code POSTFADES in all caps when you check out, you can save 20% on your subscription. So check out walkthemock.com for further information. And now back to our mock pick. Tim, in the strange series of events that we have 3 straight NFC East teams on the clock coming up. You have the first in the Dallas Cowboys. So who are you picking for your most hated team?
So I'm not gonna lie. I had a strong
Are they taking
desire.
a kicker?
Well, I had a strong desire to address the long snapper position and the punter position, something that I think the Cowboys should heavily consider, especially at the 10th pick overall. But you know what? I can't spoil anything. You know, you guys led that transition so nicely with your foreshadowing about the corner position and Patrick Surtain. But so this one seems pretty easy if I were the Cowboys. So if the Cowboys are up, I'm going to take Patrick Surtain.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like almost as much a lock that he's going to Dallas as much as, Trevor Lawrence is the Jags at this point. But
yeah, I mean, if he's there, I can't imagine they would pass on him. Their offense, you have to assume, is ready to contend. You know, they invested a ton of money, a ton of picks into it. They slacked last year just because Dak really got hurt, but that defense has got a whole bunch of issues.
I will say,
corner.
Go ahead.
I mean, they never addressed the Byron Jones free agency. When they let him go, they drafted Diggs, who was up and down, but he was a rookie. So draft his teammate. What I love the most is when it comes down to the corner comparison, like everyone loves J.C. Horn because he's this big physical guy, but Patrick Surtain's bigger. And then everyone loves Caleb Farley, but, you have the injury concerns. Patrick Surtain's not injured. He's a smart player, played under Saban. His dad's probably teaching him cover 3 and man coverage and press since he was in diapers. So I think this will be an impact pick for them and, reunite the Bama corners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I forget what I was going to say.
My explanation and breakdown just stole your air there.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. I just had a brain fart. I had a really good comment too, and I just
This is not being a good comment then.
Yeah, I guess.
Your brain filtered that one before we can kill you. They're like, nah, Dakota, see, we've been down this road before. Let's not say this one.
Now that you've insulted me, I do remember what I was going to say.
I figured that.
If I would not shock me if somehow Slater is there at 10 for the Cowboys, that they could take him as a possibility because they've had some offensive line injury issues. Their line's getting a little older too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be between Slater and Surtain certainly, but I definitely wouldn't count them out taking a lineman either.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame them. They have, a lot of first round picks on that line already. But, as much as I don't like them, with Dak healthy, I feel like that offense is ready to compete. But that defense is so far behind. They need an impact defender at any position on the defensive side badly.
For sure.
I would even took in Parsons. They lost Alden Smith from their pass rush this past year. So either Parsons or Surtain were there, but I think Surtain was the easy one.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now at number 11, I am the New York Giants on the clock, and I think they have a couple of things to address. I think they have a solid making of a up and coming defense. So definitely, I think edge or D tackle could be a spot that they target. They always need offensive line, and it wouldn't hurt to get another weapon for Daniel Jones. So looking at my board, I have 2 players left that I think are at a good spot here. And I'm kind of torn now. I don't think David Gettleman will go with the sexy pick, but I was thinking Kwity Paye, the edge rusher, but I'm gonna go Devontae Smith, the Alabama wide receiver here.
All the wide receivers they have in New York. That's
just signed Galladay. Jesus God.
Yeah.
They just gave Galladay. They have like 4 receivers.
Yeah,
There's
but
Slayton.
Yeah, but
Shepard.
Slayton and Shepard can't stay healthy. Evan Ingram's an overrated tight end. Get some more production in there. Challenge the players. It's one of those, we're gonna take the best available talent at the spot, and it's the Giants. Would you be? They shocked people when they took Daniel Jones, so they're gonna shock people again.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a wide receiver. I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised because they're just going to invest in Daniel Jones and do whatever they can to let him to succeed. So that's pretty much who Gettleman's tied to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I wouldn't do it personally, but I can understand, I guess.
Also, they spite the Eagles by taking a wide receiver right before them too. So
I don't know if that plays into a factor, but
now on the clock, we have Nick, who is picking the crowd favorite Philadelphia Eagles at number 12. What are we doing at number 12, Nick?
So I'll start off by saying this. We obviously can't do it because we're only doing 1 round. The Philadelphia Eagles they have to do one of 2 things in this draft. They have to move up from 12 to probably 7 or 8 to grab an elite talent, or they need to move back into the back half of the first round and get a pick 26, 27, 28. Because if a receiver does not fall to them the way it did not here, I think if you don't get one of the top 3 receivers, you don't draft a receiver here at 12. It's a major reach. It's a big drop off in the tier. I think they have to trade back into the first round and try to get a Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Terrence Marshall, something like that. But looking at, this position, I had 5 people sort of targeted. The 3 receivers, which are all gone. Parsons, who is gone. I do have a feeling if Parsons is available at 12, I can definitely see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then it comes down to needing to take Surtain or Horn. And because as I've mentioned Dakota a million times, they basically have the hot dog vendor playing cornerback outside, opposite Darius Slay. So here's the little JC Horn fact that I think is not talked about enough. So JC Horn has only had 1 receiver who's ever recorded 50 or more yards against him. Just 1. And you know who that wide receiver was? The first wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy in 25 years. And you know how many Devontae Smith had against him? After all these yards he's put up against everybody, the 200 yards and a half, he put up 60. That was it. Devontae Smith put up 60 yards against JC Horn, and nobody else has ever even put up 50 on him. He comes from NFL pedigree. I loved watching his dad play receiver for the Saints. Joe Horn was a beast. I think having that lineage, just like Surtain, having it in the blood. But even better, he's probably covering an ex-NFL receiver from the age of diapers. Gotta get that footwork in. He's been locking down competition his entire college career. 50 yards. I mean, guys in college get 50 in a play.
Yeah,
think about how many big plays are there in college football? It's ridiculous. The scores are 65 to 60, like weekly. So the fact that only Devontae Smith put up over 50 and it was only 60 yards, I think the Eagles here have to go corner. It's a barren desert opposite Slay. And I think they feel happy that they know that's a talent that fell to him. He's a plug and play starter.
Yeah, I mean, Tim and I have been saying this for months. there will be at least 3 to 4 quarterbacks going in the top picks before the Eagles pick, and they can't possibly mess this pick up. I mean, they can, but they shouldn't. Like, there's so many quality players that will be there at 12. I mean, if Parsons is there, he's a steal. Surtain or Horn, like you explained, are great cornerbacks. Any of the 3 wide receivers, Slater or Sewell, you cannot mess this up.
One of them has to fall mathematically. One of them has to be there.
But I like the Horn pick. Like, it's not necessarily the sexy pick that, it's not a receiver like everyone wants, but I think him and Slay next to each other with McLeod and now Anthony Harris, now all of a sudden we have a pretty, if Horn pans out, you have a pretty nice secondary. So I like the pick. Moving on to the 13th pick. We have Bobby. You are the GM of the Chargers. Who are we taking?
Yeah, I mean, originally as a Chargers, obviously this is a Herbert pick. You got to help him in some way as he proved he's a franchise quarterback in his first year. I really like Devontae Smith, but Dakota had to be an idiot and pick him at 11 for the Giants who have 20 receivers. Next best choice is he definitely got to go tackle here for the Chargers to protect Herbert. Like, as we mentioned briefly a few times, this is a deep tackle class. And with Lance sliding and Mac Jones, I think they had the option to trade back a little bit to gather some picks later if anyone wants to trade up. I could see maybe New England, maybe Las Vegas, but I don't think Vegas would do it because I don't know how much of a hot seat Gruden's on right now or Mayock. But
so you're willing to move out of 13?
Yeah.
All right, I have one for you.
Okay.
The Bears at 20.
Bears at 20.
Chicago Bears.
Honestly, with 2 quarterbacks on the board, well, someone's got to take the bait.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So assuming they give up their current firsts, you currently at 850 in value. So if you're the Chargers, you want to see something more than even. So what else would you like to give up?
Yeah. But I'm trying to think what it would take.
You could do a first next year would be 1,000 points. That would be a lot. So you probably don't have to give up that.
I would think
move up 7 spots. Probably not up first.
I was thinking maybe like a third this year and a second next year.
Yeah, something like that sounds right.
Yeah, that would give you 1,400.
Yeah, I would do that.
And then with that, they'd probably get another like late round.
And then you could they would give like
something.
A 6 maybe or a 5th.
Probably a 6 or a 5th.
Do it. 5th. 6.
I mean, yeah, they probably would swap it or something. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah. All right. We will accept this trade. We have our first trade. And the Chicago Bears are now on the clock.
So we're sitting on the Trey Lance, Mac Jones availability currently, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think more than anything, both of these quarterbacks, I think, need a good situation, which is kind of funny to say the Bears are trading in for a good situation. But I think Trey Lance here allows them not to have to play him right away. They have other veteran quarterbacks. He has a little bit of time to get his feet under him, understand the ground a little bit. There's not really high expectations. I mean, it's Chicago. He's not walking into a situation where he's expected to come in and turn it around right away. I think also they're going to be afraid that New England might move up here. So I think not expecting Trey Lance to fall as much as he has made the Bears more open to move up. They weren't going to move up top 7 or 8, but to move up 7 spots right here, and get a quarterback, which has been a very tough challenge for the Bears. I think they move up and take Trey Lance here.
I think that would be a great move. And like me and Tim did when we talked about our personal mocks, I said I had a wild prediction that the Vikings could be in play for a quarterback. But I think that's a division that's going to be, I mean, you had Jared Goff and the Stafford trade. So the Lions are in kind of that rebuilding phase or retooling. Packers have Aaron Rodgers, so they'll always be competing. And then you have the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. He's hot and cold almost every other game, but you have some incredible playmakers around him, a good defense. And then you have the Bears, like you said, also a team that I think most years underperform. They have the makings of a great defense. It's just a matter of getting consistency with your offense. And I think Andy Dalton showed he can be consistent like he did while he was in Dallas. You still have Allen Robinson. You still have two really good running backs.
I think Robinson's still there, though, by the time the season starts.
Maybe, but
and you
I
still have Foles also, so big crowd QB room.
Yeah, I like the move though. I think it's I think judging by how the board fell, I don't think the Bears would probably be like, "Wow, he's still there. Let's move up and get him." So I think it's a good move.
And if you think about it, Dalton's a 1-year deal, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dalton's a 1-year deal. Foles, you can pretty much move on after this year, no money. And it doesn't force you to play Trey Lance right away. I don't think it's beneficial for Trey Lance to be in a situation where he needs to come in and be the guy. I don't think you can go from FCS to doing that. I mean,
especially only playing one game.
Yeah, and Carson was a much higher prospect coming out of college, and look how hard his adjustment was that first year.
I mean, but same time, I feel like Nagy needs to have a good year though. It's like whoever he picks needs to play right away. On the other side of the coin.
I think that this pick sort of gives Nagy a little bit of rope because I think it's like, this is not a plug and play, but I think it gave you some excitement to go in. And here's the thing, he goes in some junk time later in the season, possibly wins a game week 12, week 13, week 14. All of a sudden people start talking. Is this the guy? Is this the future? Is this I think you extend the clock a little bit by getting a quarterback that's known to be and for him to fall that far, they wouldn't have to give up that much to get him. And it's not like they're a piece away, but that if they get a franchise quarterback finally, because there's not any other way they're getting one, that could end up being the saving grace of, the GM's on the hot seat too. That gets you some style points. You move up and get a quarterback in the first round.
I like it. Moving on, we have Tim with the Vikings. You are now on the clock with the number 14 pick.
Quick question. Can I throw something in there? I'm watching NFL Network for Fields Pro Day.
I also have NFL Network on.
Charlie Casserly has his mock draft at the bottom. He has Fields going 24 to the Steelers.
What?
That kind of blew my mind a little bit. I had to say that. So
that's the silliest thing I've heard.
I know.
I saw. People said Mike Mayock was silly back in 2005 when he said Aaron Rodgers was going to the Packers at 25 or whatever that was.
I know at the same time though, like how many teams are going to pass on Fields?
Yeah, there's no way Fields ends up that far.
Yeah, why? Yeah, at that point, why would the Patriots or the Bears or even Washington pass him at that point? They don't have to move up. They desperately need a quarterback. You don't think they'll just throw their hat in the flyer and pick him up?
Yeah, I don't see that.
Thought that was kind of odd. Sorry about that.
I've seen some very wild. Like I stopped looking at CBS Sports mock drafts because they were so outrageous. Yeah. But you're guessing. No one actually knows.
No, yeah. One trade could change everything. Or
not even the team knows who they're taking until like they're actually on the clock. So, speaking of on the clock, Tim, what did the Minnesota Vikings do? Number 14.
All right, so this one's kind of tough. The way my board has kind of shaken here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ignore the fact that Vera Tucker's right there, and I think in my mock draft I had him there. I like the versatility because their guard and center player isn't very good, so like you could just try the guy at whatever position and kind of move him around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think back to like Mike Zimmer, defensive coach, saying how this is the worst defense he's ever coached. I can't imagine he's going to forget that. Daniel Hunter sat out the whole year with a neck injury, and your pass rush outside of him is terrible. A neck injury is something I would continue to be worried about, especially since he just missed the entire season. So I think it's extreme need. I know offensive line's a need, but I think the edge rusher is a little bit more of a need. And the number one edge rusher, is right there. So I think I have to take him. So I'm going to take Kwity Paye, the edge guy from Michigan for the Vikings. I think he fits in well. He's more of a boom bust. He doesn't have a ton of, he's not an established prospect right now. He's got more of the traits and the body and the explosiveness to maybe grow into it. But you play across from Hunter, you have a great coach like Zimmer. I think they could make something out of him. And I will say, he's a name I'm excited to see because this is like a rare moment. Like the draft is that rare moment where you're literally getting an overnight millionaire. And some of them come from some tough stories. And talk about some bad places in America or across the world. I can't imagine living through a civil war or surviving through that or listening to your stories your family's gone through for that is something that is easy to stomach. So for him to, he seems like a good story. Like I'd love to see him in the motions going through, so I definitely expect him to be taken off the board pretty easily, pretty early. So I like him at 15.
Yeah, I've seen him
14,
rising. He's rising up a lot of boards.
He's got the traits. He doesn't have a ton of tape. He didn't have a great year. He had 2 sacks, but 6.5 the year before, and he's big. He's 6'4". He's athletic. I think he goes in a situation like the Vikings where he wouldn't be the number 1 pass rusher, assuming Hunter's healthy. Great coaching. He could really turn into something.
I could see it. So moving on to the Patriots pick here, number 15. Assuming they stay pat, get it? Stay pat.
That was cute.
That's awesome.
I think this is a dream scenario for them. I still have a list of 10 players. And I mean, Fields is gone, Trey Lance is gone, Waddle, Parsons, Smith, Kwity Paye are gone. But I still have 3 other players. And they're right here on the screen. Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa, Mac Jones, QB of Alabama, and then Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher from Miami. I think in this scenario, the Pats look at this and say, Mac Jones fell right into our lap. We didn't have to trade. We didn't have to move. We can let Cam play some of the year, all of the year. We'll see how quick Jones develops, because that's the thing I've been hearing is that he's a quick learner. The reason he's so NFL ready is because of his football mind, how quick it is for him to learn the playbook, pick up plays, remember things. So I feel like this is a no-brainer. Patriots going Mac Jones here at 15 if he falls to them.
So you're not going to draft Zaven Collins for the most ridiculous reason I've ever heard before, because he sounds like a Patriots player?
He does sound like a Patriots player.
You know what's sad is that he does sound like it because Jamie Collins was one of their best linebackers for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't come up with a name. That's literally a Patriots linebacker.
I know. That's why
and he's coming from a small school, so
I'm saying it all adds up. Watch out for Zaven Collins to the Pats.
All right, you missed your chance.
Moving on to number 16, we have Nick on the board. The Arizona Cardinals. What did they do here?
So I went back and forth a couple times on this. But I think ultimately when both of your cornerbacks leave in free agency, one of which who was a fixture at corner for a very long time, was an all-pro perennial, Patrick Peterson was just a dog for so many years, sort of got the baton passed to him as Darrelle Revis was going out. I think that this is a situation where you're going to take, I'll call it a small gamble due to some injury concern. But I think that there's been times where he's been considered potentially the number 2 corner until J.C. Horn really rose up a lot of boards. I think that in this situation, they've gotten a lot of sexy names this offseason. They've been really making moves, and I think they feel like they really get a steal here at 16. So with the 16th pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals taking Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech.
Love it.
Love it. As long as he's healthy, it's probably going to be a stud.
Yeah, I had Farley to the Cardinals in my own personal mock.
Didn't he just get like a back surgery or something? I saw.
Yeah.
He didn't even play. Like he sat out the 2020 season, but somehow is having back surgery. Like that's got to be terrifying.
Yeah. So that's the concern is he had back spasms in 2019, and then the surgery was supposed to be corrective. He's supposed to be fine by training camp. But again, you just hope this isn't a Sidney Jones situation 2.0.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Tossin, he had a torn ACL in college. The guy's just a game of operation at this point.
Yeah. But I mean, I look at it and you don't really want to always gamble with your first round picks, but his talent is definitely there for you to take a chance on that. And I think the Cardinals is a good fit for him.
Yeah.
Bobby, with the number 17th pick, you and the Las Vegas Raiders.
This is definitely an interesting one. For the Raiders, I'd definitely go Vera Tucker here. Saw mass exodus of the offensive line with Gabe Jackson, Hudson, Trent Brown. So I know
mass exodus.
Yeah. Vera Tucker can play guard or tackle, most likely a guard. However, the past few drafts with Gruden and Mayock, they love their athletic freaks. A few years ago, you saw Clelin Ferrell, you saw Henry Ruggs, you saw David Arnett.
all fast guys. So I'm gonna kind of stick with that trend and throw a little doozy in here. I go with the former #1 overall prospect out of high school, Jalen Phillips.
Oh, you're not going Vera Tucker.
Nope.
Dakota, you jumped the gun.
Wow.
Dude, come on, guy, get it together.
Oh man.
All right, hold on. Commish, here. I'll make it easy for you before you start trying to get crazy with this and we end up having to do the whole thing over again. I'm going to be taking Vera Tucker for the Miami Dolphins, the next pick.
Okay.
So just
take Phillips off the board.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, I wrote everything down. I was just going to throw it back together, but if you guys don't care, that's fine.
I know. Going back to what you were saying, I do. Mayock and Gruden, I have no idea what they're going to do.
I mean, last year, they took 3 receivers with the top 4 picks or something crazy, and they traded the round pick to Miami before the season starts. So, like, feels a wild card anytime they pick.
It really, even the first draft, like Cleveland Farrell was a reach in everyone's mind. It boggles you, what they're actually looking at because there is zero consistency.
So who did you take then, Bobby, with the Raiders?
Jalen Phillips. Because at the same time, they barely had any sacks last year, and I feel like they're going to try to get a playmaker on the edge right there. And
it doesn't make sense. They're still trying to make up for Mac.
He has all the talent in the world. I mean, I know he has concussion issues, but again, like what we had with Fields, I mean, you got to go with the potential.
All right. So Jalen Phillips, the Raiders. And then it does seem like a Raiders pick. You're right. Tim at number 18. Who are the Dolphins taking?
So, I got to say, this worked out very nicely. If I'm Miami, I'm extremely happy with how this plays out. They had 3 starters across the line last year, including their first-round pick. You got to invest in Tua. We already got Jamar Chase. Why stop now? I don't think the defense is in need of anything drastically, and I don't love the board defensively. So I'm taking Vera Tucker for the Dolphins. Their starter from last year, Karras, left as free agent, so he could plug right in as center. Or, you bring him in and compete for the guard spot. And either of those positions are locked down. So this seems pretty easy. And this offense I'm doing for the Dolphins is working out pretty nicely, if you ask me. I think this would be extremely happy with the board playing out like this.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting spot. So at number 19, I have Washington's pick. If a quarterback somehow slides to them at 19, I can see them taking, like, if Mac Jones or Lance is somehow there. Part of me wants to go cornerback because they lost Ronald Darby to the Broncos. And obviously Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded coach. Something about a running back, though, is really really enticing me here.
Even with Gibson?
Yeah, even with Gibson, I think you see a lot of teams. A lot of teams are deploying more than one running back in their plays. And
interesting. Go ahead. Go draft a running back. I
will
then give you my opinion on that.
I'm still on the clock. I'm thinking. I'm looking at who I have remaining from my big board.
For a guy that proposed a shot clock for each pick, you're really milking the seconds here.
That's why I wanted it. It was more so for me than anyone.
Whatsoever.
So I think in the dream scenario, Washington would take Parsons if he's there, Surtain if he's there.
19.
Where have you been, guy?
I've seen mocks. I'm just saying, dream scenario.
Well, this one we've had him going for a while.
Yeah.
420 was a couple days ago, my friend.
Caleb Farley would be great here as well, but he's gone. So I'm going to go with what's his name? Greg Newsome from Northwestern. I would say the fourth between.
Before you get into this real fast, I did want to say, watching you make that pick, it was like watching a kid on the SAT answer a question they'd never even heard of. You scrambled. You were like, I'm scrambling. I'm nervous. I'm sweating. I'm shuffling, thinking it helps. All right, random answer number C. Who's number C? Greg Newsome? Deal. So tell us about Greg Newsome there, Dakota.
Well, first of all, Tim, if you recall, when we did our personal mocks, I also had Washington taking Greg Newsome there, so I know who he is. Okay. I was adding dramatic flair to make sure I clicked on the right player.
I think we were all just left with that flair of dramatic.
But I think there's a really good chance that we have I mean, so we got Surtain, Horn, Farley. That's 3 cornerbacks almost guaranteed. I think Greg Newsome will go in the first. I think Asante Samuel Jr. has a good chance of going. And I also think Eric Stokes has a good chance of going. So we realistically could see 5 to 6 corners going in the first round. And I think that's a pretty common trend, just because of how important that position is. I mean, to me personally, that's the second hardest position besides quarterback in the NFL. So it's hard to find really talented players who excel. So that's why we see, first round grades on a lot of corners. But it seems like a very Ron Rivera pick to take defense. They could go linebacker here. They do have a need for linebacker, but with a corner like him on the board still, I think that's a solid move. So moving on to number 21, Bobby, the Indianapolis Colts now have a quarterback in Carson Wentz. Where were they taking at that pick?
Hey, Kamish, you missed a pick.
Yeah, you're slacking here, guy.
I did.
He hasn't gotten over the pressure of the last pick.
Oh, you know what? You're right, Bobby.
Right.
So we had a trade. The Chicago Bears traded with the Chargers, and the Chargers moved back to slot 20. So before the Colts pick, Bobby, who will the Chargers be taking at number 20?
I'm going to do a little double dip here. I think it can be interchanged. However, I know we talked about the tackle class being a little deep here. Picking up that extra second round pick, I think they can pick up a tackle in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
However, with Mike Williams being a free agent, I think you got to go receiver here. Next year, I mean, he's going to be a free agent. You got to help Herbert out a little bit more. So there's 2 guys I'm looking at. I think I got to go. Here we go. Rondell Moore. How to go here at this pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. Elijah Moore or
Rondell Moore? Yeah, is that
Rondell Moore from Purdue? Yeah. He's a speedster, super fast.
I mean, in the drafts I see, he's mocked first round. He's electric. Even punt return, kick return, receiver.
Electric to the Chargers. That's cute.
I don't know why he's down that low, but it's not as bad a pick as it seems to be.
No.
Yeah,
I think he goes first round for sure.
Yeah, I think Moore's good. I think there's gonna be a lot of first round wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, to go scroll up a little
bit. Back to receiver. Or you just want the whole board?
Yeah, stay right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
So now that the Chargers took a receiver, and now the Colts are on the clock at pick 21. What are they doing?
I think here I would think receiver, but at the same time, I know Costanzo retired. They need that left tackle. So I'm most likely going Darashaw from Virginia Tech.
I think it's a good pick.
If Christian Darrisaw is still there at 21, that's a steal.
Put him right at left tackle.
Yeah, that's a good pick for them.
Yeah, I was thinking even to the Chargers there. If they could move back and still get Darrisaw, like that offensive line's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
I know you said there's depth. They could probably use a couple guys in there though.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of mocks having Darrisaw at 13 to the Chargers. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think that would be could also be a good option. But I think the Colts do need to
take a receiver in a second round, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I was like receiver at that point for some reason.
Fun fact, I met Costanzo in high school. When he was at BC, he came to the camp my high school was putting on in the youth. And I was like, wow, that's a very, very large man. and then he went, like first round, like the next month the NFL draft, which is cool.
All right. Tim, at number 22, the Titans are now on the clock. What are we looking at?
All right, so for the Titans, could have gone a couple ways with this, but I think where they lost a ton in free agency this year is just the skill players. They still have Henry, they still have Brown. Obviously, they're not going anywhere, but they lost Corey Davis, they lost Geno Smith. They could use another pass catcher. I'm going to go ahead and take Terrence Moore at this. Terrence Marshall for the Titans.
Nice.
I like Marshall a lot. He was a elite recruit, played for LSU. He was part of that incredible season with Burrow, with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I think he's pro ready. He can slide right in and playing across from AJ Brown and playing in an offense with Derrick Henry. I think he's going to have plenty of opportunity to grow. So I like the pick there. I like the value.
Nice.
I like it. I would have assumed Bateman might have been off the board by now, but
I like Terrence Marshall a little better. Something about he's big body. He's like 6'2", 200 pounds. He comes from like a prolific system. Anything about that LSU offense last year, I want everything to do with it. There was just incredible offense at all points. So, I think he'll be plenty fine, and it's a good opportunity for him.
Well, think of that wide receiver room he got to be a part of, man. He had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson ahead of him to like teach it. Like that was who he was competing with every day. Every day he's going and he's running routes with, those guys. And then all the touchdowns he put up this year, when he got to be more the featured player. I mean, and this is what I'm talking about. I think now we're not doing this in this draft, but I think the Eagles, when one of these guys slides, or Rashad Bateman, Terrence Marshall, Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore, I think they have to move into that probably 26, 27, 28. You got so many picks this year. You got so many picks next year, probably 3 first rounders. You have Zach Ertz on the board as a trade chip. I think personally, a guy like Terrence Marshall or Rashad Bateman, if you don't get a receiver at 12 or move up and get a Pitts or a receiver, you got to get another offensive weapon to really know what you have in Hurts. Because I'm sorry, if you just have dog mess around him, it's a wasted evaluation year. In my eyes, it's a wasted evaluation year if you don't give him something more to work with. Because right now, I mean, I'm sorry, but Jalen Reagor and JJ Arcega-Whiteside, it does not tell me much about a quarterback when as your receiver options.
Yeah, I agree. I do think there is going to be a run on wide receivers. I think there's going to be, you have your first tier with the Pitts, the Chase, and the 2 Alabama wide receivers, and then with Marshall, Bateman, we talked about, even Elijah Moore, Tutu, and Toney. I think you see another run towards the end of that first round. And I definitely expect the Titans to be part of that. So,
yeah, I'd agree, especially after Corey Davis just signed that big contract.
Yeah, you got to. They lost Smith too. Geno Smith was a big part of that passing game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I count him as losing. And you lost though the guy in the slot that I'm blanking on his name, Humphreys, I think it was.
Oh yeah, Adam Humphreys. Yeah.
So they could really, and it's such a big drop off from AJ Brown. And I just see it as an easy position to put a rookie in there. Doesn't have to worry about being the number one guy. Can live off the success that AJ Brown on the other side gives you. Good opportunity there.
Yeah, I think pairing AJ Brown with another receiver is the move, and I know it's been mocked a lot, but it just makes so much sense, like you guys were saying.
That's what we do.
I mean, look at Tannehill has thrived in Tennessee because he's had weapons. He's had a running back. He has a line, So if you keep giving him ammunition, he'll keep thriving. So moving on to number 23, I have the New York Jets' second first-round pick. This is a spot where I think they could use this pick to either move up if they wanted a little higher or also move back. That being said, there is 2 players still on my board that I think would fit at this 23rd pick. But I will open the floor for trades if anyone wants to move up a couple spots. So
we know how this goes, the stalling tactic.
No, I if no one wants to trade, I have a guy right away that I'm going to take. So.
No, I'm okay. I don't.
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. My bait did not work. So number 23, I have the Jets and Robert Saleh, who's a defensive guy. He lost Jamal Adams last year, traded him away to Seattle. I think this is a great spot for a safety. So I'm going to go with Trevon Moehrig. And I think he fits a great spot here. And you can never have too many D-backs in this league. So
yeah, not bad. I like it.
Moving on to Nick at number 24. You have the Steelers. What are they? Are they going running back here? Are they going edge rush? What are they doing?
So this was the one I went back and forth on a lot. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about Najee Harris here. A lot of people are going to talk about Najee Harris. Oh, he's a Pittsburgh Steeler running back. He's a bruiser. He does fit that classic Steeler mold. I spent a lot of time thinking about, does that make sense? And if they take him here, I think it does make a lot of sense. He's a 3-down back. He can catch. He can pass block. However, that's not the way I'm going to go.
Don't curveball me like that. We already had one
And
mistake.
I have to say that because you'll go clicking on me. So there is somebody I think who fits the need a little bit better. You would think Tevin Jenkins here. However, he's he played in an air raid offense, very pass heavy at Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. The issue that the Steelers have is rush. That rush offensive line was 30th in the NFL. They could not get anything. And then with the retirement of Pouncey, just decimating that center spot. I'm going interior offensive line here. IOL, move over to IOL. Dakota.
Was that?
Move over to IOL. And there is one person I think that makes a lot of sense. Stop moving. Go up. So the person I think that makes a lot of sense here for just an absolute monster, somebody I think you can be an anchor at the center position, much like Pouncey was, is Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. The guy is a plug-and-play day one starter. Ben Roethlisberger needs somebody he can trust if he's going to be able to stand for any longer, especially if they're going to have him throwing the ball 45 times a game. And you need somebody who can help you in the run game. And Creed Humphrey, he plays mad. He's incredibly smart, started so many games at Oklahoma, and I just think that he's going to come in and be an impact player, especially with the unexpected retirement of Pouncey. So I'm going Creed Humphrey here for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
I mean, full need. And yeah, you are right. Ben's not moving around anymore, especially at his age. So
yeah,
protect him.
Yeah, I think we'll see a strong run on receivers and tackles at the end of this draft, just because of the quality that'll be left over. So I think that's a great pick for them. They definitely need to keep Big Ben upright for a little longer. Moving on, we have the Jaguars at pick number 25. Bobby, what are we looking at?
I mean, you took my pick with Moreg.
I had him in my personal mock to the Jags, but yeah.
Really? Nice.
I did.
I got you. Can you move over to tight end?
Oh, we're going to go tight end, are we?
Okay, I like it.
I'm going to go with Baby Gronk. Again, I think offensive line could be a pick here, but I don't think it's immediate need as of now. Receiver-wise, I think Jaguars are pretty deep there with Chark. They signed Marvin Jones.
They low-key have a good core there.
They got Chenault last year pretty late. Colin Johnson's not too bad, but
yeah,
I think Freiermuth could be a big impact for Lawrence's first year there.
So going with the 6'5", 250-pound tight end out of Penn State then?
Yep.
Is that what they're calling him? Baby Gronk? I haven't heard that
Baby
nickname.
Gronk.
I like it. It'll be curious to see if a tight end goes off the board in the first round.
I was thinking ETN to keep him with Lawrence, but I mean James Robinson is a great player, so I don't think you need to waste a pick in the first round on running back.
I was thinking ETN at the Jets at 23, but it doesn't seem like a Jets move. So
yeah, running backs lost a lot of value the last few years.
Yeah.
Since Zeke.
All right, it's a good pick. I like it. It gives them some more weapons for Trevor Lawrence. So
before we get into the Browns pick, can we just acknowledge something that I never thought I would say?
Yes.
I think they have one of the best rosters in the NFL.
The Jaguars?
No, the Cleveland
Browns.
Browns.
I'm not gonna lie. That's what I was gonna start with, because I'm like looking at their needs, and there's not a glaring need.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing while I was looking at this pick. It's weird.
Right. Well, then with that being said, Tim, with the 26th pick in the draft, who is the Cleveland Browns select, since they don't have any needs or very little?
No, I mean, Nick hit it on the head. They're pretty, like, top to bottom, the roster's pretty set. I think the offense is pretty set at every level. I looked on the defensive side originally. Edge could be a need, but again, we addressed that in free agency. They signed Klein. They brought in Tack McKinley. Myles Garrett's still there. I looked at the interior D-line, wasn't too thrilled with the prospects. But ultimately, and I think with a team that has a great roster, it doesn't have many holes, you go best available, and I think best available fills the need at the same time. So I'm going to go with, for the Browns, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Wow, nice pronunciation.
I got a little bit better. I know it's still rough, but I feel like I went 2 for 3 on the names that he has. I think it's a good value pick. Their linebackers leave a little bit to be desired. I was tempted with edge, especially since the only edge rusher taken so far has been Kwity Paye. So I thought the value would be pretty good. But running a 4-3, or Jalen Phillips was also taken, but running a 4-3, I didn't see any guys that I was in love with. So I like the linebacker. I think he'll immediately improve the linebacker core wherever you place him. And I think it helps the defense overall a lot.
Yeah, I think too. Also, they just signed in Clowney, kind of takes a little pressure off there and allows you to go linebacker signing there. And I think if JOK falls to you at 26, I mean the Browns got to be ecstatic, for him. He could go. I could see him going anywhere from 12 to 20, and I wouldn't be surprised. So for him to fall all the way to 26, that would be amazing.
Yeah, the value seems too good to pass up, and still, with not many needs, he still kind of fits in a need position there. I was definitely looking at their front seven defensively as my top area of need, and to get the great value, it seemed easy.
Fair enough. So moving on to number 27th pick, I have the first of the Ravens' 2 picks at the end of this draft. I think 2 things that they would be looking at very closely would be wide receiver, and Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, definitely, even Tony, definitely enticing picks. But I think at the end of the day, they lost a lot on the defensive side. And so edge is a need. And I think with the first pick, they will go with the Penn State guy, ton of upside, Jason Noah. So
okay.
I think it's a lot of people have been saying he's a slight project since he only really had 1 year of stats essentially, but the talent is there without a doubt. So I think they take that, and they have good veterans over there in Baltimore that can kind of get him in shape and get him situated. So I think it's a good fit for them. Moving on, number 28, Nick. Are the Saints going to take a receiver? What are they thinking here at number 28?
I think there's not really a choice because I think when you talk about trying to figure out what is going on at the quarterback position and also needing to be able to unlock Michael Thomas after one brutal season, I think you need somebody opposite him to really be somebody who can be looked to so that Michael Thomas isn't drawing triple teams next year coming off a very weird injury riddled season. Figuring out if it's going to be Taysom, is it going to be Jameis, who's going to be the person. And I think in situations with new quarterbacks, there's a couple of things that you really want to see. Sometimes it's a big tight end guy you can get the ball to. Sometimes it's just a stud X, being Michael Thomas. But I think that third option is just a super quick, great separating slot guy. And I think Elijah Moore fills such a nice need for them here. Get somebody with speed. They can get quick separation. You can do your 3-step slants. He can do your in routes. He can do your out routes. He can do your out and ups. He gives you that ability that he can take the top off. He can also catch a 5-yard pass and take it 30, and he can take a bubble screen. Having somebody with that speed, that big playability. I mean, almost 1,200 yards last year at Ole Miss. Like, the guy is just a highlight machine. So with the 20th pick, I have the Saints taking Elijah Moore.
I like it. I like that
move.
for them. It's a need.
Yeah, I think if the Saints don't draft a receiver first 2 rounds, then they don't have their head straight. But I'm actually kind of surprised that he went, after quite a few other receivers. I think he's a really good player because I've seen a couple where he goes the mid-teens, like 15s or 16. But
yeah,
I think that's great value there.
I think what's going to make him slide is, I mean, he's only 5'9". Like, if people are talking about Devontae Smith being 166 pounds, Devontae Smith can put on weight. Elijah Moore ain't going to get taller. Like that's, people are talking about Devontae Smith falling. Like, it's called NFL strength and conditioning programs. Like, my body's not the same as it was at 21. Like, you're going to fill out. He's going to grow. But I mean, Elijah Moore, he is only 5'9". That usually does take a hit on you as a receiver. Those are the guys who usually fall later in the first. So I think because of the frame, and him being a slot versus an X, when you're a wideout, you're viewed very differently and valued differently than a slot receiver. And his home is going to be primarily the slot or the motion guy across the offense.
Respect that. All right. Moving on, we have Bobby, number 29th pick with the Green Bay Packers.
Here, I think you could definitely go Bateman or Tony.
I would agree, but I have a question for you. Would you like to trade?
Oh.
Okay.
Would you like to trade with the Baltimore Ravens? We're pick 31. So we took a gamble and took an edge. However, there's a player that is still there, and we're worried someone's going to jump and get him before we pick at 31. So we will give you 31. And I don't know what value would you give up here. Would this be a late third or fourth? What would you think? I guess
I'd probably say probably third.
Third. So we'll give you our 31st pick and a third for your 29th pick to move back 2 spots.
Who's next? Buffalo. I mean, I know who I'm going to pick. I think he'll be there. So, yeah, I'll do it.
All right. Now, this seems to me like a very Baltimore move to just move a couple spots. And I think that they just saw Elijah Moore go. They're worried that Tony or Bateman might also go. And so with this pick, they move back up a little bit and take Rashad Bateman. They get some size to help. They got the speeds in Hollywood Brown, and they get Lamar another weapon that, 6'2", he's close to, I think, 190 pounds. So bigger body. I think it'll be a nice little insert in that offense. Moving on. So now I just picked. So now we have Buffalo, which will be Tim's pick. What are the Bills thinking here?
So the Buffalo is definitely a team I think is a Super Bowl roster. Josh Allen obviously is a franchise quarterback. He showed you that last year. There's definitely explosion in that passing game. There was a lot of good defensive players on the board that I was interested in, but ultimately the biggest and most glaring hole on this team is their ability to run the ball and their lack of ability to run the ball. Their last 3 top rushers, the last 3 seasons combined, 2,093 yards. Combined for the 3 top rushers.
Wow.
Derrick Henry had 2,000 himself this year. And one of those seasons was Josh Allen. So I think that tells you everything you need to know. I know the consensus, I think, is Najee Harris, the big, powerful guy from Alabama, but I've always watched him in college. I've always liked him a little bit more. I'm going with Travis Etienne for the Bills. I think he's a little more explosive than Harris. I think he's a little more versatile. And you know what? They have a very stale running back room, and they've had a very stale running back room for the last couple of years. And it's time to go get a guy who can make big plays. He's great in space. He's a home run hitter. He's got incredible speed. I think he would play off very well with Josh Allen. So this seems like a big need filled for the Bills.
I like it. It'll be super interesting to see who the first running back is and how long it takes them to get drafted.
I mean, if you're the Bills, listen, if he's there at the end of you're at what, 30, and you're taking the top running back, your choice, it seems easy for them. It's a huge need. Why not go get an elite prospect? They've wasted a couple picks with Singletary and Moss, not really did anything for you. Why don't you go get an elite prospect and never worried about it again?
Yeah, I will say, looking at the board right now, we have Green Bay and then Tampa left. To see Tevin Jenkins and Zaven Collins still here is kind of surprising. I had Tevin Jenkins in my personal mock going 17th, and then I had Zaven Collins going, I think, 21st. So there's still great value. I mean, even Barmore is probably one of the better D tackles in the draft as well. So, and Najee Harris might not even go. So, Bobby, what is the now that you're up at 31 with the Packers, since they
I still think Green Bay still has a choice at receiver with Tony. However, they did lose one big piece to the offensive line this year in Lindsley. I think they can plug and play right there with drafting Landon Dickerson. So go ahead, Dakota, and
from Alabama, Landon
Yeah,
Dickerson.
I mean, he brings great leadership and
Okay.
very athletic for his size. I think he'd be a great replacement for Lindsley.
Would you have gone wide receiver if I didn't trade with you?
No, I would have went Dickerson there too.
Okay. I like it. I think it's a very Packer thing to build in the trenches.
Safe pick.
Yeah. They're always a team that's looking to trade back too. So to get a third, to move back a spot or two and still get your guys, I think smart.
This is now this pick, Tampa Bay. This is a pick I'm definitely looking forward to though, because where do you go?
They really don't have any needs.
I mean, do you go for the project quarterback, or do you wait, or I don't know. So this will be interesting.
So Nick, that being said, you have the number 32 pick of the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are they doing?
Yeah, so this is tough. Also, one of the coolest things is they're bringing back all 22 starters.
Mind blowing.
Super Bowl team. That does not happen. It does not happen. Amazing, work done by their front office, and it really shows you just the culture they're building there. That nobody wanted to get their ring and just go get paid somewhere else. Everybody wanted to run it back, and I think that is just like a testament to the culture that was built there, and very, very impressive. And this is tough because I think this is going to come down to the board. I think that the Bucs are going to look at the board. They're not going to have a draft for a need. There isn't a need. They're bringing back every starter from a Super Bowl winning team. And I think the two that jump at you initially would be obviously Tevin Jenkins and I think Cosme also has a really great chance to go in the first round. However, I mean, you got a 27-year-old left tackle in Donovan Smith and Tristan Wirfs, who's been an absolute stud that you just drafted really high. So I can see this being a trade situation as well. Yeah, and that is very possible. I do think this is a great spot for the Eagles to move into because it's only, I mean, your second round pick is what are they, 39?
38.
38?
Yeah. Because they're sixth, so
yeah, 37. 38.
38, yeah.
38. So I mean, like, that's like, would it sort of shock me? No, I think that would make sense for them to grab somebody there. I think especially when we talk about team control, getting that fifth-year option, sliding in, grabbing a receiver who fell there, I could see. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to assume that Tampa Bay stays here, and this is a pick for depth. And I think that when I look at the roster, you also see Zaven Collins. However, they just invested a lot in the linebacker department, and they've got so many studs there. It just doesn't make sense. I'm going to say that they go with Christian Barmore, defensive lineman from Alabama, because the one thing that they did have last year was Vita Vea, big injury concern, missed a lot of time. Ndamukong Suh's getting up there in age. Gives you the ability to learn behind two veterans who've been around for a while, but also, gives you the ability to rotate those guys, keep their legs fresh, keep that pressure up. Because, as we saw in the Super Bowl, that ability to control, the center of the field and put that rush on Patrick Mahomes really ended up being one of the major differences in the Super Bowl. And having a guy you can rotate, and having Christian Barmore fall to you at 32, possibly being the best defensive tackle in this draft.
I'd say so.
Getting him at the end of the first round with the veterans ahead of him. It's hard to go wrong with them with this pick. I just looked through like what makes the most sense. Tackle there doesn't for them. Linebacker doesn't because of recent signings. They just picked up Gio Bernard, so I don't think they go that way with the running back there. And I think a deal with Chris Godwin gets made eventually. So I think they're fine on the receiver front. So that's where I would go. I'd go Christian Barmore.
Yeah, I think they're like you said, they're a tough team to kind of draft for because I think you could like you said, their line is still relatively young, but you can always use depth at line. So I wouldn't take that out of the consideration. But D tackle, you have Sue who's a little older, and then
Vita
Vea, who's still young. And then you brought back both your linebackers and your good young safety, good young corner. They're in a great spot. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I would not be shocked I mean, I feel like this number, 30, 31, 32 are typical trade baits for teams wanting to move up before the second round. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the Bucks, they showed a graphic like right before, I think it was right after the Super Bowl, right before, that showed that the past 2 years, their first 3 draft picks have all played like over 75% of the snaps.
Damn.
So like they're drafting guys who come in and play and make an impact. Even Murphy Bunting was, a later pick that they get a lot of use at the nickel. Wirfs and Vita Vea and all these guys who are just like really giving them a lot of quality time. It's impressive. Like they really, they're building something. I will say that I can definitely see them trading up in the second round and grabbing a quarterback. I don't think there's anybody at 32 that makes sense for them to reach for, but I could see them moving up in the second and grabbing like a Kyle Trask. I think Kyle Trask makes a lot of sense for them to move up for the quarterback from Florida. I think that I could see them making that more of a splash move than what they do in the first round.
I could agree with that. Looking at the board for our 32 picks, it's the fact that Tim took Justin Fields at number 2 with the Jets really shaked it up. I mean, I feel like if Zach Wilson had gone second, I probably would have gone Mac Jones at 3 based on what I'm hearing about San Francisco. So I think if Fields is still available, you see more activity trying to move up because I don't see Fields surviving past 10. But yeah, that was probably the biggest shock.
Open.
Yeah.
I like it. He's a big game guy. He can handle the media. He's been under the scope since high school. He can handle New York.
Yeah.
He's gonna break down those walls that are just built on failure. He's gonna knock them down.
Yeah, I've been telling Dakota for a while, I don't want to see the Broncos take a quarterback, but that was also when I expected Fields to go number 2. If he does fall to 4, if he's on the board at 4, I am on board with them moving up to take him because I think you have so many young offensive weapons with, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler and, the Noah Fant. And if you can get a quarterback that's also young to grow with that group and to have that time to mold together, like they could really put together something dynamic. So I would be on board if Fields is there, but nobody else would I trade up for.
I agree with that. Also looking at this, who would you say got the best value? Who was the biggest steal? I mean, for me, right off the bat, I think Darisaw at 21 to the Colts is phenomenal value because I think he could go top 10 if teams are desperate for tackle, or if the Chargers stay pat at 13, I don't see them pass on him there either. So
I'm curious to see how the tackles play out because I think we saw 2 or 3 top tackles still left on the board for the second round.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm definitely curious to see how that goes Friday, Saturday night.
I did like that. I mean, to be selfish, I really like the JOK linebacker pick for the Browns. I just feel like the value and it fit like a need, not a big need, but it was just best player available for them. You're talking about one of the best defenders. They got it at 26.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if the Browns scoop JOK at 26, that would be huge. I also think that if the Ravens get Rashad Bateman at 29, I mean, that would be huge. They really had an issue putting talent around our boy Lamar Jackson. So I think getting Bateman, big body receiver, guy you can do a lot, to go opposite Hollywood Brown, who's that more speedster receiver, I think that would be huge for that offense.
Hypothetically, I was talking about this earlier today. I think the best value, I mean, technically not, it wouldn't be value, but I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers went Pitts at 3 to pair him with Kittle. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G a couple of years ago when he was healthy, but I don't know. I think that'd be pretty explosive with Samuel and Ayuk.
That would be quite the shock. To give up all that for a tight end,
Yeah.
Hey, he's a good prospect. Go ahead.
Yeah,
that would be a lethal tight end room.
That would be wow. I mean, that would be the best tight end room we've seen since Gronk and Hernandez.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you guys said, I don't think you trade up for a tight end like with all those picks, but I would be for it if I were a 49ers fan. I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, I think so. I think something's gonna be interesting too. Is how much is this Devontae Smith thing really gonna factor in? Like, are people really gonna not look at did anybody watch him play football? Like,
He's insane.
Did you watch him play football? Are you kidding me?
And
Like
the thing is,
like you had to almost talk me out of saying not take him over Jamar Chase for a while, and now people are like, oh yeah, he might go to the late teens, he might go to 20. Are you kidding me? If he is off the board and the Eagles don't take him at 12, I may not be able to be a fan anymore. That would be so painful to watch them do.
I agree with you there. One of the most confusing things I do not understand is how Jalen Waddle's 5'9" and Devontae Smith's I think 6'1", but somehow Devontae Smith's the one that's too small for the NFL. The guy and factor in that he just gets open and catches everything in the sight.
The thing is, he played this whole year without Waddle too. So I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew there.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't personally understand it either, but I mean, we'll see. And here's a question too: is there going to be any Laramie Tunsil draft night slides? Something, somebody's holding a picture, waiting to burn them on it, or something. Is something going to come up, last minute that makes somebody fall? Who knows?
I mean, if anyone's eligible for that, it would probably be Micah Parsons, just based off people saying that he's had some character issues. Someone could want to spite him somehow and, I don't know, release some kind of audio of him yelling it out, something stupid. I don't think anything's gonna happen. And I don't think
so though. I love the entertainment. Tunsil moment was one of my favorites in the draft.
That was the most what the hell is going on moment. ESPN just put a picture of a dude with a gas mask on. I was like, what is this? And then I mean, he did slide too far, but he went from what, top 5 to I think he still went top 10 though, I think.
Well, can we take a second and just think about how lucky the Dolphins have been over the last couple of years?
They've been blessed.
I mean, he slides to them and they turn him into every first round pick ever imaginable from the Houston Texans. And then they try to do the tank for Tua and win a couple of games and still end up getting Tua. Still end up getting the guy they wanted the entire time.
Yeah.
Something I think is interesting about this year's first round board is look at how many offensive linemen have played multiple positions.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every offensive lineman who we had going in the first round had started in college at more than one slot, and a lot playing to not even just one side, like left tackle, right tackle, left tackle, right tackle, left guard, center, left guard, right guard, guys moving around the line. Whereas I can't remember that historically. We used to be so concerned when, we draft the left tackle out of college and they're like, can he move to the right side? That was always a big thing, is well, he was a great left tackle at Alabama, but can he play the right side in the NFL? It's such a different position. Right. But now all of a sudden this year's class, they've all played multiple sides, multiple positions. And it blows my mind that's been something that's been something teams have been scared about for years, is playing them on the other side, because they already have a left guard. They already have a left tackle. And this year it seems like they play all up and down the line.
Yeah. And I mean, how many times do we see a lineman get hurt and they have to ask another lineman to move to a different spot? And a lot of times they thrive and they still do well. I think versatility, especially for O-line, is huge. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of times teams will draft an interior lineman who truthfully played guard most of his college career, and then they turn him into a center. The versatility is huge for those players. And I think with tackles, you see a lot more of, I mean, look at what happened with the Ravens. They traded away their tackle because he didn't want to play on that side anymore. He's like, I want to play on the side that I thrive in. And they're like, all right, well, we already have a stud guy in Stanley over there. So they shipped him off, got a first round pick for it. So I think I would value versatility more so if I was drafting for offensive linemen, but I get it that it's we're drafting a right tackle to play right tackle and that's it. But
I mean, I think Barrett Tucker could be a steal then. I mean, he can play guard or tackle, so that would be a good pick for Miami as well.
common theme for most of my picks that I was out there with. Miami, call the line.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think more so than anything, I think the Eagles really have to be aggressive, not in the manner of like they have to move up and get a person, but if somebody's there, if there's an opportunity there, they got to do it, or move into late second, or get rid of Zach Ertz. If you're going to trade Zach Ertz, just trade Zach Ertz. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't care if you pair him with a 4th round pick to move up to another second or second next year.
I could see him being like a 3rd day trade. I remember watching last year and talking to Dakota, like, I guess it was the 4th round. Trent Williams gets traded to the 49ers for like a 4th or 5th round pick, and he's an all pro or a Hall of Famer. So I could see something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Even Randy Moss 10 years ago when he got traded to the Patriots for like a 4th round pick.
Yeah, they have to do something there. It doesn't make sense to bring him back on a lame duck year, especially after the way last year went. Like, just move on. It's the writing's on the wall. You're not giving him a new contract. Like, just do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Either move up with the pick this year, or get a pick, or get a player you can use. I don't care if get a depth wide receiver, but do something.
I just missed it, but I saw that Peter Schrager has the Eagles trading back with the Patriots. And
for Devontae Smith, I saw that. It's like, I don't see that happening. I'd be infuriated.
Yeah, and then the Eagles took Vera Tucker at his spot at 15. So
yeah, I would punch the TV.
I don't see offensive line being a huge need for the Eagles, like in the first round at least.
Not this year, but next year I think they have to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends. I mean, Mailata has a lot of potential. He played well. I mean, you guys see how Dillard does. He was a 1st round pick a few years ago.
I think Brooks is the biggest question mark because he can't get fully healthy.
Like, I like Driscoll a lot too. I mean, he's versatile, as you guys were talking about, and they can fill in anywhere. I don't know if he's a starter, but he's a good 6th guy off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's on his way out. Brandon Brooks is a huge question mark. And it's something about Lane. I just don't put all my eggs in the basket that he's going to stay on the field and everything's going to be okay there. Like, if you can I think you need to get somebody either most likely next year, though. I think you can wait one more year, but I think you got to take a swing at, even if it's a developmental guy, even if it's a guy who has to sit for a year or two, you have to get somebody on that line in the first 2 rounds, probably next year.
Yeah, I could see that. And I can't remember a year where we didn't hear about the Eagles trading up or down with their pick. So they're a team that likes to move a lot.
The thing with the Eagles, I saw a stat, I guess, since like the mid-90s or something. We've only taken like a offensive line, defensive line, or quarterback in the 1st round besides like Mitchell. Or we usually go offensive line, defensive line, most part.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid's philosophy was built in the trenches, so that doesn't surprise me. And then obviously Doug Peterson was of the Andy Reid tree, had a similar mindset. But
hey, you know what? It'll be an exciting draft regardless. I'm looking forward to the nonsense. I'm looking forward to my mock draft not even being close to anywhere correct, but it'll be exciting. So
yeah, I mean, the draft's always exciting, and I can't believe it's already in this coming up Thursday. So
here we go, baby. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All right, I think that was a great episode. Definitely some interesting picks. Do I really think the Giants are going to take Devontae Smith? Who knows? But they are the Giants, and the Eagles will do what the Eagles do. So, but thank you guys for coming on. Bobby, again, congrats on the engagement.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Let's see where the NFL draft takes us.
All righty. Talk to you.
All right.
Yep, we'll catch you later.
Peace out, boys.